Good evening to you all in Europe. Good morning, good afternoon for those of you who are tuning in from further afield. We would love to see where you're watching from. So, wave your flags, give your country a shout out in the comments below. I'm Andy. I've worked at Heritage Parts Centre for 12 years, and I spend a lot of my time meeting people and creating stories about them and their vehicles. Tonight we've got a great guest for you. Just going to see if we can find him here. He'll be along in a minute, I'm sure. I'm joined by Matthew Palmer from Mk2 Spares UK. He's the man behind a business dedicated to saving second-generation Golfs from the supply of second-hand parts through to selling unfinished projects for those who are looking for their next hit. See if we can find him. We've had some great guests join us on these live interviews since we started, and then back in May it was. So if water-cooled VWs are your thing, be sure to check out my chat with serial collector and global VW showgoer Jamie Orr, and also a couple of weeks ago restoration pins from Resto Shack, which is also a great chat on the water-cooled theme. Good evening, sir. You'll be able to watch those chats over on our IGTV. Obviously, stick around for this one though. Welcome along, Matthew. Thanks for joining me.
How we doing? Are we all good?
Yeah, we are indeed.
Good.
I think let's start. I think it'd be good to know a bit more about you. Really, whereabouts did you grow up? When did you buy your first Mark II?
When I was about 17, I had a 8-valve GTI, also a 16-valve. I grew up in a little village called Horseheath, which is down sort of between Haverhill and Linton, which is down, I'd say, sort of Suffolk area, Cambridgeshire area, that sort of direction. And all my friends were into Mark IIs when I was growing up, and it just sort of got me into them in a way. And my family also had Volkswagens all their life, so that's what got me into them. And I've had one since I was 17, basically.
What was your plan before you started Mark II Spares?
Originally I worked for Volkswagen, then I was a marine engineer doing engineering, travelling all around the world. And then unfortunately one of my friends then passed away, who before that was telling me all about I should run my own business with Mark IIs and I'll be really good at it and I should give it a go. Yeah. So when she passed away, I decided, let's do this. So I just cracked on, started with a little shed in my dad's back garden, and from then just worked hard at it and just kept following my dream, basically. And that was it.
So did you have a sensible job before you kind of cracked on, or marine engineer?
Yeah, I've had, I've been working obviously since I was 14, like most people, and then done my training with Volkswagen, and then done engineering, and then moved on to this. So always been around cars, mechanical engineering, all that's sort of been all my life, really.
Yeah.
But Volkswagen has played a big part in my life. So this is my dream job, and I built it from nothing. So I'm just, living my dream, basically.
Could you give us a quick kind of outline of what Mark II Spares is about? Whether you got a mission statement or whatever, elevator pitch, which kind of is it in a few sentences?
The original plan was to provide people with a reasonable second-hand parts for their cars. It wasn't about making loads of money out of people. It was never about anything to do with that. It was a passion for the cars that grew into selling parts for my own Golf. And then the plan was gradually just to carry on with that service. And then everybody who comes here, they're not just customers. They then become friends out of work. We help them with their cars, and it just grew and grew and grew. The plan was really just to do parts, and just that was it.
Yeah.
But then more and more plans come in, carried on working hard at it, and then just basically to do parts and to now start selling cars, and hopefully maybe do some restoration with this new unit that I'm standing in. That's the plan.
Awesome.
Yeah.
So how long ago was it that you kind of you started the company?
It was established in 2017. That was based in my dad's back garden in a little village called West Runton in North Norfolk. Then we moved on to Heath Farm, which is based in Holt. And the unit was a really good unit, and it was a good stepping stone. But wasn't really allowed to have loads of people up there because it was based on a farm. So
Yeah.
This idea now was to make it more open to the public, and have more space and be able to do more, not just parts, be able to move on to the next level, really.
Yeah, yeah.
And that's where we are now. So,
Cool.
yeah.
And then, so at Mk2 Spares, is it just yourself, or have you got kind of a team, or you got people who you employ, or?
Any help I get comes really just naturally from friends and family, to be honest. I've run this business since about 2018 single-handedly. The help even comes from customers. We all muck in together and we make it what it is together, really. So it's basically myself, we're with friends and family. That's really it, to be honest.
Cool. And so do you also supply kind of Polo, Sirocco, other period VW parts, or are you just kind of strictly Mk2 Golf?
We've started with this new unit. We've now got the space to move on a little bit and cover Corrados and Mark IIIs. We've also thought to ourselves we're going to do a little bit of Mark III, so we've got a couple that are up for sale, a couple that we've done up, and also with the Corrado side of things, we've started to buy up a couple of job lots that people have got left over from their projects, and keep them here, so we can start now venturing that way, really. So it becomes a bit more variant as well as Mark II side, but the heart will always be with the Mark IIs, to be honest.
Yeah, yeah. Shall we? You're obviously up on your feet, and I think you're itching to show us a few cars, aren't you? So should we have a little look?
Yeah. Okay.
Do you want to start with yours, if they're kind of to hand? What have you got in your collection?
So this is one of my one, which is 84 GTI, which I've known this car, and a lot of people locally have known this car for a very long time. It's a very close friend of mine's car originally.
Yeah.
And he was going to take it to the shows and enjoy it, and then we basically decided between us that his nickname's Dave, to be honest, and we decided that I was going to buy it off him and I was going to carry it on, basically. Yeah. So he'd done like the paint job on it, and various trims and bits and pieces.
Was it Mars?
And then yeah. So he's looking inside it.
I love that interior. I've done Recaros as well.
Yeah.
Cool.
My favourite interior, that is. And to be honest, this was, apart from my very first Golf, one of my favourite Mark IIs in this area. So I was really chuffed when he said he was decided to sell it. So I basically run through it, serviceable items, new bottom arms, new suspension, different wheels. I put the wheels for my van that I've got onto it, some BBS RS. And basically any little trim and bits and pieces that I had around me, just to sort of bring it back up a little bit, really. Just give it a little bit of love.
It's still an 8-valve?
Yeah, still an 8-valve, yep, K-Jet.
Yeah, that's lovely.
So this would be the car that I'll be using, really, for what we've got to plans this year.
Yeah.
Going around to shows and stuff, this would be the one you'll see me in.
Cool.
So we've bought some cars out here for you to see.
Lovely.
We'll start here. So we bought this one in, which is a Type 19 D registration.
Yeah.
And the plan is with this one is to, once we get the resto shop open, which is the second side of the new unit.
Okay.
Which is the second one over there. We're going to do that one up, and then that will be for sale.
Cool.
In time for them, really. And we've got a big bumper, 90 spec.
Yeah.
That's got an MJ interior from back in the day, which, if you remember, one of the jade green 16 valves that was about back in the early 90s, that's the interior out of that car. So that's got a few heritage parts about it in a way. Back in the 90s. Then we've got the Jetta.
What year did you start getting into the VW scene?
Straight away, as soon as I passed my driving test, my original first car was a Polo.
Okay.
610 Polo, which I was always in the back of the garage at my dad's and always messing around with that. I ended up putting a Mark IV front end on it. So back in that day, I was always at GTI Inters. I just grew up with it and followed it all the way through. I sort of come out of it a little bit when I was doing my engineering for 10 years, but always still following it on all social media and keeping an eye on it. And I still had all my VWs myself. But then once I ended that and started this, that's when I come back out and back into it. But I've always been a part of it.
Is the Jetta yours?
Yes, yeah.
That's GTI Engineering, is that right?
That is, yeah. Yep, so the plan is with that one is to get that one in once the shop's open the other side, and then we'll go to town on that one.
Yeah.
Because I think that was a car it's an iconic car. And I think a lot of people in the whole country would like to see that out and about back at shows again, because I actually purchased it at shows back in the day. So now we're going to get it back out again. So hopefully next year we should see this around and we'll give it full respray and go back in again with it. And we've got a rally. Lovely. Which has recently been purchased by one of my friends, and I sourced it and found it and cracked on with it. We went. It's a good story about this car. We actually won this car recently, and we didn't get back here till 5:30 in the morning with it. We then stayed on the sofas here and carried on back opening.
Nice.
As per normal, because you got to carry on. But it was one of them missions, which it was a great moment.
Was it in the UK or was it Europe?
It was in the UK. It was the other side of Northamptonshire. And at the time, it had some Borbet wheels on it. Yeah. And we've literally done a few bits and pieces on there now. We've put some bigger size BBS 17s on it, changed the indicators to orange. We've redone the interior because it had a backplate leather interior, so it had almost like where you would have had a show cage in the back with a battery on show. Yeah. So we put like a false floor, so we've put the back seats back into it, parcel shelf, and we put a blend on the back there, had a blend to match the lights, a little bit different, don't always see them now. Again, serviceable items, brand new discs, brand new pads.
Still running G60?
No, it's running a BAM engine now.
Okay.
But he's going to remove that and put a G60 back into it. So that's the plan with that eventually.
Cool.
And then we've got a customer's car here from Fakenham, who deals in bodywork and paint. He's had this for about 5 to 8 years now. But he's now put this on the market.
Okay.
That's an 8 valve. The paint's really good on it. He's done a really nice job of it.
It looks nice.
Yeah. Yeah, so there's a few of the fleet outside. A couple of my personal Mark IIs aren't here today. I've got a Mark II van.
Okay.
Which is having its engine rebuilt.
Yeah.
And also I've got a VR6 Turbo Monza Blue.
Nice.
So, yeah, really into them, basically. That's, yeah, as you can see, we had our first meet here as well, which is an achievement for myself outside.
Yeah.
It was really only arranged in like a week, and we had about 46 cars, so it was quite good. Yeah, that was an achievement in itself.
Yeah,
so proud of that moment for me. It has been, you know, a bit of a ride with any new business, but now you can sort of see, you know, that all the hard work and effort has really been worth it. It really has.
How long have you been in this unit?
This unit, I've only been in here just under 2 months.
Okay.
Just under 2 months, and yeah, we've done the reception area. We've tidied up all that out here. It wasn't really sort of used for about 10 years. It was sort of used in and out, so outside wasn't really very tidy, so we tidied it all up. And then today a friend of mine has been out and fitted up some nice new signs.
Cool.
Yeah, and then the next plan is to crack on with the restoration side and get the ramp up and focus on that next. Yeah.
But has your business been affected much by kind of COVID, or have you been able to sort of kind of crack on your own out of the way?
No, I mean, to be honest with you, I think a lot of people have been enjoying their cars, which I know it takes a lot of minds off a lot of things, and we've been quite busy, to be honest. So we've really excelled through this, because if I've been in the same situation, I think I'd be out there messing around with my car.
Yeah.
So we've been really busy, and that was the idea with the meet as well, just to get a few people out, a few local people as well, and just sort of, there's not many car shows been on recently, so it was good to have a little bit of a moment just to get out and about and just enjoy it.
Yeah.
So,
what, in your opinion, is the rarest Mark II Golf part you've got or you've sold? People like rare stuff. You've probably seen your fair share.
Yeah. To me personally, I would have said big bumper wash jets on a big bumper. That's just something a little bit quirky. It's just something that really, that, and also I've got a Votex rear speaker system which goes along the back, where you sit in the back, that goes along the roof line and at the top there. And has a speaker on the side of it, and you would have like earphones attached to it.
Wow.
So that's really something a little bit different. I don't think there's many of them left now, which is upstairs, hidden away for now, because I want to bring that out, give it a little mini restore, and put it in the back of my van when it comes back.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, if we turn the camera back around, so rare parts wise,
what's the part you get asked for every day? Is there something which we kind of at Heritage, when we started doing golf stuff, it was G60 arches. Kind of, we'd take a phone call every day, someone wanting to, and at the time we had them. Then it's kind of Mark II roof rubbers. Is there other stuff we kind of, which you're just like, yeah, I could put money on pretty much I'm going to get a phone call for?
Mainly, I would have said it's the normal sort of parts that everybody really is after is your normal Mark II hatred. So like roof linings, one of the biggest flaws with the Mark II.
Yeah.
The rear turret cuts, because obviously that's where they rot the most on the fuel side.
Yeah.
They're really the two sort of biggest questions that I get asked for, really. And also little niggly things like sun visor clips.
Okay.
That's, always back in putting the sun visor down, and they just cracked, didn't they? Hard scuttles as well, one of the big scutters. Because obviously with the earlier models you had the flimsier scuttles, so they would crack and let a lot of water down into the footwell past the fan. So, that's another one. Obviously replace that with a hardened type one.
Yeah. So personally, kind of, I rescued a few VW cars from a scrap, and I always kind of struggled with the morality between like breaking a car for parts. Is there kind of a level where it's like, when's a car too bad for you to save or offer it to sell?
It comes to that line really when, with here, the idea is to buy job lots and sell them individually. That's the way that we run this. When it comes down to the braking side of cars, it's always cars that have been in accidents, bent chassis legs, really rotten, like again with the rear turrets that have popped out of them. Then that's when they get used for parts. But generally, if we can save them here, we will, and offer them to the public. Because if you think about it from a business sense as well, it's better to have people in them than break them all down. So in my personal heart, like from the Mark I Golf, we lost quite a few of them. Generally because of that sort of situation, a lot of people ended up breaking them. And me personally, I wouldn't like to see that with the Mark IIs. I'm a more enthusiast company than anything else, to be honest with you. That's where my side is. I don't really want to buy £3,000-4,000 cars and break them down into parts. That's not what I'm about myself. But when it comes down to borderline, I think, unless you're a welder, unless you've got the money to put into it and it's your forever golf and you really want to make it something, then you're safe no matter what you can, really, to be honest.
Yeah.
And I know that that was my personal 16 valve from back in, when I was 15, 16, and it was in a really, really bad state. I would still try my best. I think the only way with a Mark II, if you're not going to do it, is if the chassis leg is twisted, and it's been in a major accident, and the line on top of the door frame is bent across the back on the B pillar, and that's a breaker, But apart from that, try and save as many as you can.
Yeah. Where does your stock come from? Are you you say you're sort of buying up in bulk? Are you buying kind of collections out of people's garages, or?
Yeah, so basically back in 2017, 2018, I did a lot of driving around the country, just buying job lots. You know, people would offer them to me, say, I've got all these parts, you know, £200, do you want them? We then go out and get them and just keep putting money into it. And basically I get that all the time now. You know, people say to me, we've got these parts left over from our project, you know, would you like to buy them? And that's what we go out and do, and then build up the stock level that we've got. So we've been running obviously since 2017. We're still, you know, going strong now. So we've sold a lot of parts, you know, to keep going, and we've got a lot of parts here now still. So, you know, it still carries on exactly the same as it was back then, pretty much.
So if someone's kind of sat on an Aladdin's cave, that's cool. They can give you a call, and you'll go out and
go out in a little caddy van and go and pick it up and then put it all in here for everybody else to enjoy. Yeah.
So yeah, I like hypothetical questions. So it's a hypothetical question. If there was a VW model that they made back in the day and gave you one, which they never kind of made, what would it be? So, like, for example, like a Jetta Coupe G60 Limited, or an example of our purchasing director, a 4-door diesel Corrado Estate. That's kind of his dream car. What would you go for?
I think it would be along the lines of a Jetta Coupe, to be honest with you, because I've got a Jetta, obviously, myself. And it's just something about a Jetta Coupe. I've always wanted a Jetta Coupe, to be honest. But because I've got quite a few cars, I sort of, like everybody else within a VW community, you know, you have so many projects and you can only do so many of them.
Yeah.
You know? So if I was to add another one, it would be a coupe, definitely, 100%.
Have you got involved with kind of bringing stuff in from Europe?
I've spoken to quite a few that started off as customers, and then they've informed me that they can help with that.
Yeah.
And I have, at the moment, in the process of doing that with somebody to get sort of stuff that you don't get really so much in this country, like, as you said before, like the rarer parts and items like that. But to be honest with you, I think the market is very sort of up and down in this country with the Mark II for parts, for rarity parts. I mean, there's some items that everybody wants on the rare side, and there's some ones that they're not so much interested in. So it's finding that sort of line of what items people want to see and people want us to bring into it, really.
Yeah. You don't want 20 blue interiors on the shelf, do you?
No, definitely not.
In hindsight, has the kind of the government scrappage scheme of previous years sort of helped or hindered things, do you reckon, for you?
I wouldn't say so, to be honest with you. I mean, there's still a lot of Mark II Golfs in this country, and there's still little parts available, and I think there's still a lot to be saved, and there's a lot hid out there, which are still out there on them driveways. They're still out there, you know, hid up in barns, and I generally don't think if you know, most of the owners, myself, if they were like me, I don't think they would have put them down to that. Maybe a couple of them, but I still think they're around, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
Because there's a lot come out on the scene recently in the last couple of years that I haven't seen around. And obviously I've been in there, you know, doing this since I was 17. So you would have seen quite a few of them back in the day, and you would have seen them come out, and they're still hid up there. They're still around, which is really good. It's really positive.
Yeah. I saw a thing on your Facebook. You were looking at kind of a 90s max power type build for someone. Have you got kind of some? Is that sort of something that customers led you down, or is that like an itch you've got to scratch?
No, it's a customer of mine is after building. Basically, he wants to build from the max power era. We did get hold of one for him, which we've now put on the market for sale. Which is a purple one with G60 arches on, smooth boot. You know, it was in fast car, I believe, at some point in his career.
Okay.
But in his theory, it was something even more quirky than that.
He's looking at wide arch, like massive.
Yeah. So we've got a couple of bumpers aside for him, which, if you remember, like a company called Charisma back in the day.
Yeah.
You remember them? Yeah. So there's a bumper we've got around for him, which is evolving with like an M3 BMW splitter from the E36. That's moulded to it, been flared out. Then there's also a developments rear bumper with which is also features on a lot of like other old school motors as well, and they're hidden away ready. So we've already started planning.
Yeah.
So we've got like smooth tailgate for him. We've also got some D-lock doors, and they're all in storage ready. So when he's found the one, then they're all Yeah, we're still hunting for it. We're still hunting,
They
but
must be
I'm
out
sure
there.
he'll find it. Yeah, he'll find it.
Have you got a personal preference for 3-door or 5-door?
Depends what I'm doing. Depends what I'm doing is my theory. As long as it's a Mark II Golf, I'm interested.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
being true, passionate, and enthusiastic about the car is personally myself. You know, my 3-door van or my 3-door Maserati GTI. That 3-door for me personally. But I've also got 5 doors as well. You know, my dad's got a 5-door which is in there ready to be restored, which is Atlas Grey. You know, to me personally, I don't think it really matters. You know, I think you can do them up both to look just as good. I think, you know, a lot of people always say, you know, 3-door within the scene. I was like 3-door, 3-door. But to me, I think it's all about what car, you know, you might have family, you might want a 5-door, you know, for different reasons, you have different cars.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
You know, like similar to modifying, you know, back in the day, obviously, the Max Power era, Euro style, everything. It's always about the car and about how you would have it personally, not about what everybody else thinks about the car.
Yeah, yeah,
It's
yeah.
about how you want it, how you want to drive it. So, you know, if you want a 5-door, you have a 5-door. You know, if you want a 3-door, that's it.
Is there a particular part of the VW scene which you kind of enjoy the most, whether it's like shows or road trips or track days and stuff like that?
To me, I think there's three main ones that I enjoy. The Mark II Owners Club. I always like going to the little track meet for them.
Yeah,
You know, because it brings all the enthusiasts out of the car again, and that's a really nice little day there where you all go around a track together, and there's a nice vibe about that, and it's very, you know, you get true enthusiasts at that one as well. And also the London Cartel drive around London with the Mark IIs. I think, you know, that in itself is another little great event, you know, because it's just like the Italian job with the minis in it. You know, Mark II going around London, you know, it's good fun. You know, it's that as well. I think for me personally, it's all about meeting people and going to shows and enjoying the VW scene like it used to be, like back in Inters, you know, in the early 2000s. You know, I remember back then when I used to borrow interiors off my friends. You know, Recaro interiors you're now seeing for like £1,000 to £2,000. You know, my friends used to lend them to me, put them in my car. You know, and that sort of vibe about it, I think that's what needs to be coming back. So that's sort of similar to what I'm trying to do here personally.
yeah, yeah.
Is bring that sort of back into the scene again. That, you know, back in the day in that 90s feel with you know, friends and customers.
From a show scene point of view, I think I probably got into it about the same sort of time as you. I think my first Inters was 02 perhaps.
Yeah.
Would you, from a show point of view, flick the internet off? Do you prefer kind of going back? Like back then, it was sort of almost an excitement because you don't know what's going to turn up, and then you've got to wait a month before PVW drops to see if your car made it.
Yeah. I mean, personally, like this business, like it's obviously you need to have social media on your side. You need to, you know, that platform is you know, worldwide now. You know, and that era of people, you know, you're coming into that era where you need to use it as a business platform. Me, myself, I always like working on a one-to-one basis and phone calls and speak to people in person and meet them. You know, that's what this place was all about with the new stage of it, was to have it open to the public, you know, the face behind it, and meet people and sort of have that personal level. I think with mobiles and everything like that, it can be, when you're buying parts as well, a little bit of, you know, it can be a little bit difficult. You want to sit there and give somebody some money for a part on Facebook and be a little bit concerned about it, and whether you'll get the part, you know, whether it's going to be good, you know, or whether you're just going to lose your money and stuff like that. So on this level, I think in this industry now, it's a big thing. But if I could turn the clock back and have it original, there was more of a Volkswagen scene back that way. And you knew people better, and it was a good time. It was a very good time for the VW scene back then. But I still think it's still achievable in this generation too.
Yeah. If you heaven forbid you didn't drive a Volkswagen, what would you be into? Have you got anything else, or are you just purely VW?
I've got Audi A5, which I use occasionally. But to be honest with you, all the time since I was 15, 16, it's always been about Volkswagens. I had one BMW 36, which is another iconic car, which another car I do like. Yeah. But always be about Volkswagens, to be honest with you. If there was another car that I would have to put into my collection of cars, and this is going to sound very, very strange for me to come out with this, be a Jensen Interceptor.
Okay.
There's a random little insight to my life. That'll be one I would like to save up.
Any particular reason? Like, you saw one as a kid, or like parents had one, or
Yeah,
something? Or...
it was just one of them iconic little cars that you used to play with that you could buy, you know, with the tailgate curve. And then obviously recently it was featured in one of the Fast and Furious films, and they put one of them into that. So it's just one of them iconic shapes of a car, I think, to be honest with you. And if I was going to do a restoration on something non VW, that would be the car for me.
Okay, that's pretty cool. If you won the lottery tomorrow, would you pack it all up and head to the beach?
No. No, definitely not. I'd miss it. I'd miss all the like, especially with this, with what we've got here now. You know, there's nights where we go out and tinker with the Mark IIs with the customers, and they've become friends, like I said. You know, so that vibe about it at night time, you know, it's almost like back in the day when you used to help your friends with your cars. And that's the atmosphere that we've got up here. You know, weeknights, sometimes I'm up here till 10, 11 o'clock with my friends, and which, you know, started off as customers and now become friends, and helping them with their please. And I would miss that. I generally would miss that. You know, you, like any business, you have your ups and downs with it. You have times where you think, is this really worth it? But you just, if you're really passionate about it, you carry on regardless, you know? So that's where I'm at with that. I don't think I could do it. I really don't.
And so you're kind of, I guess, a big plan for the future, really. You got the resto shop. Are you going to get into like your servicing and stuff like that, or are you just going to go for bigger projects?
The main idea at the moment is to possibly just buy up project Mark IIs like we have been doing, and then do work and sell them, as also the side of maybe doing work for customers on their cars. That's just a future idea. I mean, the unit was, the idea of it with the space was to mainly really to have the shows outside and have meets outside. Yeah. And then with the space that is available, there would just be storage next door. So the idea is, I've got a ramp already that needs to go up in there and make that into a resto side in the future. But it won't be like a permanent resto shop. It, you know, it could be just left as storage, but also have a ramp in there for, you know, we'll see how time plans out and see how things go, really. Yeah.
That's kind of, let's have a flick through here. If anyone's got any questions, then please, throw them up, and we'll put them to Matthew. Nothing wrong with a 5-door. Okay. How do you fabricate a 3-door trim moulding for 90 spec GTI? Don't know whether that's door or roof trims there.
I see Matthew Chestnut's commenting on there. Where's his canvas?
Sorry?
I see my friend Matthew Chestnut's commenting on there. Where's his canvas? The canvas is going up. We've got some customer canvases that are part of the new reception area. So
okay, can we get in there in your reception, or is it all locked up? And someone's asked when your next meet is as well, if you've got a date on it.
Yeah, so the plan to have the next meet was going to be organised for the end of this month. But there's going to be another Volkswagen meet, which is just up the road, which are having like a camping event also. So instead of corresponding with that in the same area, what we're going to do is we're just going to put the meet off for now. And then once the meet up at Santa Pod is over for Breakout, which I'm going to go to. Once that's gone, and once the meet locally in Edgefield is over, then we're going to probably do another meet for September, or maybe I might even do one for sort of maybe getting on a bit further than September for like a Christmassy sort of meet. I don't think there's many meets which are sort of like Christmassy, really winter. So maybe do something like that. But we're definitely going to do another meet. I really enjoyed the last one that we had. It was really good. I mean, it was something that I've never done before. I've never had a car show or meet organised, so it's a bit different for me.
Yeah, I've done quite a lot. I started our Heretics meet 12 years ago. So it's kind of something. And the last few months I've kind of arranged a few Porsche meets locally as well. So it's just kind of, I enjoy the getting out and meeting people, and that's why I'm doing this really. Someone's asked.
So
Someone's asked best engine conversion in the Mark II in your opinion.
It's a bit of a tricky one for me.
We could be here all
To be
night on this
honest.
one.
Yeah, no, that's good. It's good. To be honest, I mean, a lot of people have gone down a 20 valve road over the last a long time now.
Yeah.
You know, and there's a lot of 16 valve turbos, you know, VR6 turbos. I mean, to me personally, I like the sound of a VR6 engine. R32 VR6, you know, that sound, and the turbo ones. I mean, to me, that's just that sound. It's all about that for me personally. You know, but I think like the 20 valve is a good road to go down. It's, you know, it's fairly reasonable to build, to sort out and put into a Mark II, which makes it very beneficial, you know, and you can get some good power out of that. I mean, but for me personally, it has to be an R32 turbo, definitely.
Cool. What's the most memorable car you've dealt with customer-wise?
I would have said the whole story behind this rally that's outside, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
With that, a friend of mine has been buying parts of me since I first started. He always said to me, I'd really want to have a rally, but I can never find one around. You know, I can't find one. I know what I want my budget to be, and that's it. So to me, I think the mission with that rally that evening, finding it, winning it, and going to get it and be a part of doing it now, and getting the bits in it which he wants, and finding them original bits like the handbrake cover and gator and the little quirky little bits that were missing, and making it the car for him that he wants it to be. I think that's been a big part of this place and myself. You know, I've enjoyed helping him with it from start to finish, from purchasing it to doing it. I was up here last night with him till 11:30 doing it, and we were putting last minute fixtures so you could have it out here today. You know, that's a big thing. I mean, I personally, I'd like to have one myself, so it was nice to be able to be a part of it with him, really.
So a few questions. Someone has asked, is a Mark II Polo welcome at your meets?
Yes, yeah. Generally in North Norfolk, any VWs are always welcome up here at any of the meets. I mean, you know, it's not just been about the Mark IIs. This place is always is the idea is to be a part of North Norfolk and be about Volkswagens as well as Mark IIs. Yeah, I'd like it to be a Mark II home, and also, you know, have the Polos. You know, I mean, we've even got like a Mark III sit there for sale. You know, I'm driving my R32 today. You know, it's generally a Volkswagen community, but obviously the heart of it is Mark IIs. But any VWs are welcome at the meets. We even had a camper van up here at the meet that had there was a pickup, bay window pickup with another car in the back of it. So nice. It has been known to see all sorts. Yeah.
You got a shout out from Polar Silver Golf, who says you're the best. He's asked, what's your favourite colour on a Mark II? Maybe he's hankering for Polar Silver to be the answer.
Yeah, well, there's a story behind this as well. So that's Chris. He's Polar Silver. He's a customer of mine, a friend of mine also. I mean, that car used to be mine, and now he's enjoying it, and we have up here helping with him with that. But as far as colour goes, I mean, to me, BBM's my favourite colour. You know, bright blue metallic, always my favourite colour. It's the one that got away, if I'm honest. I did put a deposit down on one, which my friend Sam Rayner, if you're watching, he's now got it. Which, if you come to my meet before, you would have seen it inside the workshop here, which is another stunning example. There's a lot of nice Mark IIs in North Norfolk, you know, and that's part and parcel of me being here as well. And I enjoy to see them like that. There's so many nice ones around this area code now because, you know, they've got this on their doorstep, which is brilliant.
Awesome. So you got a favourite wheel, either original VW or kind of aftermarket, or maybe one of each?
I'm a bit quirky on wheels, to be honest. I've got so many different sort of wheels that, I mean, you always, to me, everyone's always going on, like when I put the BBS RSs on here, turn it around. So when I put the BBS RSs on that, there was a lot of comments on there, you know, people were saying, oh, another Mark II with RSs on. I think, you know, wheel wise, I mean, personally, I've got all sorts of different wheels around. I mean, here's another sort of quirky wheel. Again, you've got a zip.
Oh, yeah.
One stroke. Wheel-wise for me, it's very tricky. I think wheels make or break a car. No matter what wheels you put on a Mark II, whether it, you know, even Mark I, whatever car it may be, it could be anything. But wheels make or break a car. You know, it's very difficult for me because I've just got so many different types of wheels that I like. You know, I like Renault turbos, which is on my girlfriend's car here.
Yeah.
You know, again with the Rally, this was another set of wheels that I purchased for one of mine, and then Hakan's had them for this, which I think they suit that better.
Yeah, yeah.
And then again, you know, if you get to the Jetta, you know, the original VW wheels, you know. So yeah, it's a very tricky one. Wheels is a tricky one. Colours I know the answer to. Wheels, couldn't tell you. I'd have a few different types of wheels to,
Yeah.
depends what mood I'm in, I guess. Depends what style I want to go for, and depends what colour and everything about it. It all depends, really.
If you had to choose modified or stock, which way would you go?
In between, OEM plus, 100%. That would be me. I'd have to be. It would be, you know, like my van's got a body kit on it and stuff like that, you know, and that's a little bit quirky, a little bit different. But, you know, for me, definitely OEM plus, just a small bumper or big bumper, original looking, nice set of wheels. I don't think you really need to do too much to a Mark II in this generation now to really make it look smart and look presentable. You know, just a nice set of wheels, nice set of suspension, and nice little extras that the car wouldn't have had from factory. You know, like if it didn't have Recaros, you know, all that sort of ideas.
Yeah, yeah.
And that would be the way for me.
You got a preference between single and double headlights or squares?
Another tricky one, because I've got a few Mark IIs. I've obviously got my 7 flat front, obviously on the A, and then obviously your Rally, and then your 9E, and then obviously I don't think we've got it down at the moment, but I've got a hella front end around as well.
Okay, yeah.
So to me, I would have said 7 flat. Definitely a 7 flat. Something about it, just that more originality sort of front. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
But again, it depends what, you know, what the car is, depends what style you're going for. So personally, me, yeah, 7 flat.
Cool. I think, yeah, we've drilled you on pretty much everything, really. Someone said primer grey's the best colour, so yeah, that's off their mid-project.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, let's wrap it up, and then we can do that. So for people kind of wanting to look you up, you're on Instagram at Mk2 Spares UK _Matt, I think. Is that right?
Yeah, yeah.
On Facebook, just Mk2 Spares UK.
Yeah, which we've done a few adjustments to the business page recently because it hasn't been working brilliantly. So we've had to update it. Obviously, with the new premises now as well, there's still like the Google page is now being adjusted, and also the Facebook pages. So everything will be back up to speed with all the new information on it over the next coming days, really.
And can people just rock up, or do they need to kind of phone you, or?
Yeah, it's best to phone really, because I think, you know, in part and parcel, it's more of like a personal service here. So you like to spend some time with people, you know, not just about buying parts, but also talking about them with their car.
Yeah, yeah.
So it's always nice to book in to have a time slot, so then you can spend time on a one-on-one basis, you know, and spend some time, even go out in a Mark II. You know, we've had at the other place, had people turn up, I took them out in my personal car, even just in the shop and get a drink, you know, and spend some time with them, you know. So it's always good to book in and have a bit of time with each person, really. Definitely.
Cool. So yeah, massive thanks for kind of joining me this evening. And yeah, I could look around workshops all day, really. So that's a lot of fun. If anyone's out there kind of interested in chatting with myself or Steph, then yeah, just as Matthew did, then yeah, drop us a DM. We can have a chat about getting you on, and yeah, sharing your story with everyone, really. Yeah, big thanks to everyone for watching. We're going to be saving this story to our story, this chat to our stories, IGTV, and then we'll get it onto Facebook as soon as possible as well. So yeah, have a good evening, Matt.
Thank you.
Don't work too hard. Yeah, see you all soon. Stay safe. Take care. Thank you very much.
Bye-bye.
Bye.